There are many ways to cook with Thermomix. A bolognese, for example. There is Harry's way, with Wagyu beef. There is Anna's way, with no meat at all. Nancy's way is her grandmother's way, and it's a secret way. Tommy's way is bolognese, no way. He wants chocolate pizza. Mia's way is actually a French chef's way. Ooh la la. Frank's way is the traditional way. Classic. And then there is the best way. My way. Introducing Created Recipes. Now you can create your own recipes, import and modify your favorite recipes from Cookie Doo, websites, books and magazines. Save them all in one place and cook them with your Thermomix. Created Recipes. Find them on Cookie Doo.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How is everyone feeling this Sunday morning? So today we are going to be learning the different cooking modes on the Thermomix TM6, but we're going to be digesting it bit by bit so that it's not too overwhelming, especially to our new Diva customers as well as our new Diva advisors. So today we're going to be featuring the auto modes. Okay, so allow me to share my screens, and if you have any questions whatsoever, do feel free to ask away in our chat box. We've got my Diva Futs, one of my leaders, to assist me in case I am unable to see the chats. Okay, all right. Oh no, what happened here? Okay, I think I'm not allowed to share unless I stop this. I should have checked on that first. Let me see. Fats, can you just, I'm going to come back in just a bit. I'm going to leave this site for a while just so that I can unlock my screens. Now, what happened is I need to share a screen with you guys. So this is what's going to happen now. Oh dear. Give me a while. We might have to redo this in just a bit. Okay. It's one thing great about the Mac. They are very security tight. So if I don't show, if I don't allow share screening, then it won't allow me to share. Oh man, okay. I need to get out for a while and then I'll come back in just a bit. In the meantime, let me leave you with a video for a while. Give me a sec. Who is there? Fats, just make sure that you're there first, okay?
The one thing at the top of our menu since day one, transforming customers into fans. We constantly have our finger on the pulse, helping us create not only the world's best kitchen appliance, but unforgettable experiences really worth sharing. How? By bringing people with the same passion together, not only digitally, but where real life happens, in their homes. Regardless of where they come from, what drives them, how great their ambitions are, or what holds them back, we inspire them to try new things, because everyone deserves a life that makes them happier. Everyone should be able to turn a how into a wow and create truly delightful moments. With the best Thermomix we've ever made. Of course it can weigh, chop, grind, grate, steam, whisk, mix and boil. But for the first time ever, new cooking modes add more haute to your cuisine, giving you more wows and yummy mummies. More tenderness made effortless. More homemade yogurt and cheese. More pulled pork at the next garden party. More taste highlights by adding roasting aromas. And caramel creations prepared in a jiffy. The new Thermomix is cleaner, more powerful, and psst, it's quieter. With a way larger display, a highly intuitive user interface, and recipe recommendations, making the best homemade meals easy peasy. Built-in Wi-Fi and Cookie Do provide daily inspiration, with over 40,000 guided cooking recipes created and shared all over the world, regardless of which device you use. And the best part? It gets better and better all by itself. Smart at heart. Just like you. TM6, the all-new Thermomix by Vorwerk. The one thing at the top of our menu since day one. Transforming customers into fans. We constantly have our finger on the pulse, helping us create not only the world's best kitchen appliance, but unforgettable experiences really worth sharing. How? By bringing people with the same passion together, not only digitally, but where real life happens, in their homes, regardless of where they come from.
All right, sorry. My goodness. Inilah hasilnya. Okay, let's get right to the screen. Okay, I'm so sorry. I normally use my bigger camera, my bigger computer, but for some reason I had to use this one instead, and let's get right to it, okay? I see that some of you have said hello. Thank you so much again, and here we go. All right, so Thermomix offers 3 cooking methods, all right? So thank you all for joining us. For those of you who have probably popped in through other channels, my name is Daphne Iking, and I'm the branch manager for Deep Aromas. I'm attached with Thermomix Malaysia, and I am a proud Thermomix advisor, okay? So yes, again, we have 3 different ways of cooking with the Thermomix: guided cooking using the Cookie Do, which I will talk more about in next week's session. Manual cooking, I'll also talk about that in another session, but today we're going to be focusing on the automated feature modes, all right? So let's get right to it. I'm just going to check with Fats if everything is okay. Is everything okay? It should be fine. And unfortunately, I can't see the comments in my page right now. So hopefully Fats will be able to guide me, all right? So first and foremost, setting the time. So you've got on the far left on the screens right now, that would be your time. In the middle will be your temperature, and on tepi sekali tu will be the speed. So sometimes you will see in community recipes, they'll have the TTS. What is the TTS? So it's the time, temperature, and the speed, okay? So heating and cooking are only possible when a time has been set. So if you're wondering, hey, why is nothing happening right now? It's because you've not set a time. You've put in the temperature, you've put in the speed, but it's not happening. You need to put the time of it. That's why it's been susun that way: time, temperature, and speed. You do it accordingly, right? And you may pause the timer or adjust the time at any time during the operation by just pressing on the dial selector, which is the tombol silver, okay? Maximum time setting is 99 minutes, all right, or 99 hours, sorry. And a buzzer will sound after the set time has elapsed. Okay, so there will be a sound when the set time has completely elapsed. Now you will notice on the right, there's a little bit of a table there. So from 0 to 1 minute, the increment for your speed, your seconds will be 1 second, your time, sorry, will be 1 second. From 1 to 5 minutes, it'll go to 10 seconds. 5 to 20 minutes, 30 seconds. And from 20 to 99 hours, it will go from 1 minute. Okay, so it's 20 minutes all the way to 99 minutes. It will be 1 minute. All right, I hope I'm not confusing you guys here. If everything's okay. I just got a bit gelabah just now when I couldn't share my screen, so forgive me, all right? All right, setting the temperature. So now let's talk about the temperature. You will notice, for those of you who have your Thermomix, it will be green and suddenly become red. So I have customers saying, oh no, why is it turning red? Why is it turning red? Does that mean danger? No, it means that if you are going beyond 60 degrees Celsius and above, it will turn red. That means that it's getting hotter. Above 60 degrees, you can feel that it's a little bit more warmer, the mixing bowl, until of course the boiling point of 100 all the way to 160 or even varoma setting, right? So if it's below 55, it's still warm to touch. However, I never touch the mixing bowl. And this is great when it has the light color. I teach my kids, especially the younger ones, that never ever touch the Thermomix at all when it's cooking, but especially so when you see that there's a red light color, all right? So you will notice also that the status of the temperature will go in the above here. You will see there's an icon here on the top. If you are trying to hit the top temperature of 120, bila you nak menumis when you want to saute, right? You notice like, why is it above here saying 95? It is slowly, gradually moving towards that temperature until the temperature that you are going for, okay? And the same for varoma also. First you go from 37 and then 55, 60, and it grows up all the way until full of the perfect temperature that you want, which is in this case varoma. All right. So precise temperature control all the way from 37 degrees, which is the perfect temperature to activate your yeast, misal kata, or to do fermentation mode like you're making tempeh. I know, Fats, you are also in the midst of experimenting making your tempeh. You're just waiting for your ragi right now. To 120 degrees Celsius, as well as varoma. Now, the temperature setting is only available when the mixing bowl is in place. So there have been some customers who say, oh, why can't I set the temperature? I think rosak already my temperature setting. When you put your mixing bowl on top of your unit, then you will see that you can actually do all the settings, all right? So make it common practice that when you want to set your time, temperature, as well as your speed, to ensure that the mixing bowl is in place on top of your unit, all right? And again, remember guys, make sure you lift it up and down to place it in, as well as to take it out from your unit. Why do you want to do that? It's to prevent any hairline cracks on your unit, your precious unit, because if you're doing it from the front, you might hit upon the locking arms, and that's gonna, you know, eventually cause some cracks. It will still be functional, your unit, tapi cuma tak cantik lah. Okay, so just be careful and be mindful of that. Heating function will only be activated if the time is set. And again, that's the reason why the engineers have made it time, temperature, and speed. Okay, so you can't put your temperature in and then you're figuring out the speed or you're trying to cook it if there is no time set. Okay, Setting the temperature. So how does the Thermomix maintain a stable temperature? I think recently on the roadshow, a lot of men came to ask some very technical questions, and they were wondering what was the power consumption of the Thermomix. So just to let you all know that it is about 1000 watts. All right, it's very, very low. And the reason is because the Thermomix does not have an induction heating system. So it basically uses an integrated direct heating system instead. So this is a very big advantage, just to let you all know, as well as our advisors, when you are, informing your customers out there that because of this integrated direct heating system, it doesn't waste energy. That's one. So it's very, very low energy consumption. And on top of that, it is free from any electromagnet radiation. Now, we have some copycats. I don't even think they are copycats per se, because we are incomparable. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Thermomix advisor, but because a friend actually purchased one just to make a comparison, and just to let you all know that the other copycats out there uses an induction heating system instead. So what happens then is it will then consume more energy, itu satu, and two, it's not free from electromagnet radiation. And that's the reason why I've got my Thermomix here in my office. So I do not just my live shows here in the studio, but I am also able to cook while I'm actually getting some work done right in front of me. I brought this to a hotel room, and the only available spot that I can do my cooking is right near the bed. All right. And I don't have any worries about it causing any, or it's free from electromagnetic radiation. So I feel that it's safe for me and my family. Okay, so you will see that this is at the tapak, okay, of your mixing bowl. All right. So this is how the Thermomix maintains at 80 degrees Celsius. So it will just heat it up and just keeps on heating up. But once it reaches the temperature that it requires or that you have set, then it will stop. Okay, and that's how the integrated system actually works for your Thermomix. All right, so it's not an induction. So you see, it stops once it reaches 80 degrees, and then it will continue again once the temperature goes down. Now, for the Varoma features, Varoma, for those of you who are maybe not familiar with the Thermomix, Varoma means vapor aroma. It is a method used to steam your meats, your vegetables, your fruits, even your yogurt jars or your baby bottles. So it's a steaming method, and that's why the Thermomix can save you a lot of time, because it has the multi-layering cooking capacity. All right, you just have to make sure that there is sufficient liquid. Tak kisahlah kalau dia buat soup ke, you're cooking your rice with your simmering basket underneath, but there's sufficient liquid underneath, about 250 grams to every 15 minutes of steaming. So liquids may rise and overflow when you're cooking with dairies like milk or cream. So to just be careful, because sometimes, like when you are making mushroom soup, for instance, okay, and you want to put in your creamer inside, there is the possibility of it splurting out. So sometimes when I've got more starchier or more starchier ingredients inside my mixing bowl, I will, instead of using my measuring cup, which is this one that is able to cover your lid quite well, I would then change it with the simmering basket, okay, or even the Varoma dish itself, okay, just so that it allows more steam to go out, and then hence lessening the liquids from sputtering out. Okay, now to prevent burns, cook only between 100 to 120 degrees Celsius. 100 will be boiling point, 120 is the perfect temperature to menumis atau to saute. And you can scrape the mixture or mix the mixture inside every 15 minutes or so, just so that although we have the blades to sort of stir it, if you're cooking something that requires longer cooking time, like rendang or anything like that, then you just want to make sure that the ingredients below doesn't stick onto your mixing bowl, creating a little bit of a burn. Not burn bakar as in fire burn, okay? But, there's a bit of a burn, just like how it happens also in your stove when you don't mix your your ingredients well. Okay, so just make it a habit to do so. And then use the varoma, because some people actually use, they're trying to use the varoma temperature to give that wok hay feel. Okay. However, the varoma has been programmed for your steaming. So if you want to use the varoma temperature to thicken your sauce, for instance, do it at the last part of your cooking process, about 2 to 3 minutes in your cooking process to thicken your sauce. Okay. All right, setting the speed. So earlier on we had our time. We've got our temperature, and now we're going to go into the speed. So you will notice that if you play around with your speed dial, there is, the first one will be the spoon. Okay, there'll be a spoon icon there, and then it goes to 0.5. And this speed will be about 40 RPM or rotation per minute. So it's very slow. So you're doing this when you're stirring delicate ingredients, or you don't want your ingredients to hancur per se lah. That's why even though we have a mixing knife inside the mixing bowl, you still can cook with your Thermomix, because it has the ability to go on a slower mode and even go on reverse, so that you're not using the sharp side of your knife. All right, so speed 1 to 3 would go to a rotation of slightly faster, 100 to 500 RPM, all the way to turbo, which is a mode that you can find on your feet. It's featured in when you slide to the left, okay? And it goes as fast as 10,700 RPM. Very, very powerful indeed. It's akin to 240 kilometers per hour on a car. So it's that powerful. So it blitz the ingredients fast enough without actually menghancurkannya. And that's why we always feature the turbo when we are demonstrating our lemonade. It will be able to extract the juice from the lemons without, making the peels of the lemons hancur. Okay, so set the desired speed, and the mixing knife starts rotating immediately. This is, of course, after you have set your time, your temperature if need be. If you're not cooking, then if you're just blending and stuff, then you can skip that, because you don't need a temperature for blending or when you want to blitz stuff. And you go to your temperature, your time. All right. Then increase the speed gradually when blending hot or hard food. This is to protect your mixing knife. Heating is deactivated at speed higher than 6. Why is that? Because you would probably use your Thermomix at a lower speed just to mix or to stir your ingredients. When you're going higher on a higher speed, that means you are blending it. All right, or trying to mill your ingredients instead, and that doesn't require any temperature. So it's just a safety feature that the engineers have thought so. Now you can also refer to the basic cookbook right behind you. When you get this comes free with your happy box. Right at the back, you can get all these resources and tips on the different settings to mill, to grind, to steam your ingredients from scratch. Okay. So sometimes you want to grate stuff, you want to mill stuff, but you're not sure of the speed and time. Then you can always refer to the basic cookbook. So it's very resourceful. In fact, even in the in the front of the Thermomix, the basic cookbook, you find a lot of resources also. So it's not just a recipe book, but it really is an amazing resource book, especially for you who are new Thermomix users. Okay. All right, so let's check out the auto feature mode, the scale mode. It is able to weigh in 1 gram interval, and you can just reset to 0 by tapping on the tear button. Okay, I'm not sure if Fats, you're still in, but can you just highlight my the other camera, and then I can also highlight the what I'm talking about, the features there, right? So precisely weighs 1 gram interval. You can reset back to 0 by tapping tear. Let's say you, in this case, if it was time as well as temperature, right? You can actually press on those icons, time, temperature, and speed. If you terlebih and you malas to dial down, you can actually press on the speed icons. I'll give you an example, okay? So let's say this goes, I went all the way to 99 minutes, okay, which is the maximum, okay? but I actually wanted 9 minutes. Instead of going down or dialing down all the way down, you can actually press on the icon and it will zerify yourself. But in this case, for the scale mode, you can reset to 0 because sometimes, now bear in mind, it is so sensitive and the scale sensors are actually on the feet of your Thermomix unit. So when the fan is on, if it's very strong or if your counter is not stable, all right. In this case, if you're traveling with your Thermomix and you're just putting it on a random table that is available at that Airbnb, you will notice that the scale will go from -1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Even when you touch, something touches your unit, it's so sensitive that it will also sort of go -1, 0, 1, 1, whatever. So just make sure that it's clear. And then you can just press on the tear button and then it will go back to 0 and then you can start weighing your ingredients, okay? Now, remember, sometimes I've had customers, it was my sister actually, who removes. So she goes on her scales and then she wants to put in her flour, right? So she removes her mixing bowl lid and then she forgets to zerify the scale. So what happens is at least, 300, 200 grams of weight from the mixing bowl has been lifted off. And when she starts pouring in, she goes like, oh my gosh, why is the tepung so banyak? Okay, so remember to always check before you go in and measure your ingredients. That is always back to 0 when you want to put in the ingredients, right? So maximum weight is about 3 kilograms, 2 times. So it can hold about 6 kilograms. In fact, when Elon was born and we weren't able to, go as frequent to see our doctor to check his progress because he was premature baby, I actually used an IKEA papan chopping board and I would weigh Elon to just check his progress on his weight using the Thermomix, all right? Now, during the cooking process, weighing is only possible at speed 4 and below, but the scales will be, instead of 1 gram interval, it will be 5 grams. Now, to protect the scale sensors, place it on a clean, flat, and solid surface. Do not attach a slider to it. I know of some Thermomix users who has purchased as other accessories that may not be associated with the actual Volwork brand or Thermomix brand. There's a danger to that because it's not an accessory that has been approved by Thermomix. So you want to be careful about that. And lift. All right, this is something that I always say during my unboxing. Remember to lift it, don't drag it. It's not that heavy, the Thermomix, so you can just hold it from the bawah dekat sini and then lift it up, okay? When you want to move things around or when you need to clean the counter, because sometimes when you're milling your coffee or grinding your coffee, some ingredients will come up and you can just use the lobang over there. There's a lobang dekat bawah tu, tapak. Once you remove your mixing bowl, you can use a damp cloth or whatever to just get it all into that lobang and then it will fall down nicely on the counter. Then you can just wipe, all right? Another thing that I wanted to share here is if you feel that the sensors of the scale is not working as well, all right, what you can do is, so this is the scales over here. So you notice that when I touch it, it will move around, right? So you can just press on tear to zerify it. And again, because I'm touching the Thermomix or something's touching it. Oh, it's my books. Okay, let me just place it over here. All right. Now, if you are was about the sensors of your Thermomix, your measuring cup is about 80 to 85 grams, right? So just to test it, what you can do is just place the measuring cup onto your mixing bowl, or, even when the mixing bowl is not there, you can actually use the base of your unit to check. And this is about 83 grams, so the sensors are working just fine. And if there is any keralatan, then you can just take a clean damp cloth and gently wipe the feet of your Thermomix, because that's where the sensors are. Perhaps there were some ingredients that got stuck there, which makes it kurang sensitive lah. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to tell and share with you all. The other mode is the dough mode. So the dough mode looks like that piece of wheat over here. I say wheat, tapi dia macam beras, macam padi. Mana dia pergi? I actually changed my things around. Okay, so it's this one. All right. And basically the dough mode, it imitates the professional kneading method. So it goes 5 times clockwise, and then it will move anti-clockwise once, and then it goes again, and this goes on for about maximum 20 minutes. Normally, it doesn't go that long for most breads that you need to do. I think for mantau, it's just about 2 minutes. I've done bread, and I think it's about, 4 minutes. It won't take so long, but it can go up to 20 minutes, all right? The best results use 500 grams of flour, even though some community recipes will go as much as 1 gram of flour. It still can do it, but I feel that the best way to make sure that you get the kneading process done best is to follow the tips that has been given by Thermomix, which is 500 grams of flour, and it can only be activated when the temperature is below 60 degrees. Speaking of temperature, kadang I macam lupa letak I punya aircon, tiba-tiba panas. All right. So it can't be too hot, so you've got to wait. There probably is some recipes out there. I'm not much of a baker, and I've never had to wait for the temperature to cool down, or maybe I have. There are some recipes that you have to wait for the temperature to cool down for a while before you are able to move ahead with the kneading mode. And this is because it's also something that we want to highlight. It can only be activated when the temperature is below 60 degrees. And to knead ingredients with temperature above 60 degrees, use speed 5 or 6 manually. Okay, so in the event that, maybe you can't wait or you want to knead it, however, because the recipe requires it to be at that warm temperature or a warmer temperature, then you can do it manually by using speed 5 and 6 manually. Never leave your Thermomix unattended when the dough mode is in use. So we always say that one thing fantastic about the cooking with your Thermomix is because that you're able to just leave it alone. It does its stuff, and then when it starts berbunyi, the sound is like alerting you. Then you can come back and do what is required next. However, when you're on dough mode, I suggest you first thing first is to make sure that the unit is really at the don't put it at the P counter lah. Okay, that's common sense. You don't want it to fall off or anything because it will berjoget, and to just be there. It's only about 2-4 minutes max that you need to be there to make sure that the dough mode is functioning, and it's just a security thing that I always highly encourage all my users to do. Never leave your Thermomix unattended when dough mode is used. And again, use a clean damp cloth to wipe off the flour or debris immediately after use, because you know how flour can just lekat just like oil and everything. I mean, it just makes common sense to clean up after you're cooked or you're meal prepping or cooking, right? So just do that to ensure that it doesn't go to your scales, punya sensor, and it's just a hygienic way of making sure that your kitchen is always going to be clean. Now, the turbo mode is a short time cycle from 0.5 all the way to 2 seconds. And it's very, very powerful. As I mentioned earlier on, as fast as 240 kilometers per hour on a car. That's a really fast sports car, okay? And it chops your ingredients into small pieces without over processing it. So it won't turn into like puree, for instance, okay? So here we're talking about, if you want to chop it nicely, like your ham, dry sausages, and the much loved lemon, then you would go with turbo. It can only be activated again when the temperature is below 60 degrees Celsius, and the locking arms can only be unlocked when you leave the turbo mode, okay? So we're going to go into turbo mode right now. This is how it looks like. And you have maximum of 2 seconds. And then it will, I can't do it now because I've got my simmering basket inside. You just put it on. Now, when you want to leave this, then you can just press on the home button. Or you can press on the turbo icon, okay, to unlock your mixing bowl, the locking arms, right? This is just another safety feature that the engineers have thought about. So for grinding or pulverizing, it's better to use high speed with longer time cycles instead of the turbo mode. So let's say if you are going to be grinding your spices, all right, or you're pulverizing something, then I would suggest going on a high speed from 9 to 10, and because it takes longer than 2 seconds instead of using the turbo mode, because the turbo mode, you have to keep on doing it 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. So do it the manual way, all right? And you can again refer to your basic cookbook if you are unsure about how long or what is the speed used to chop or mill or grind your ingredients. The pre-clean mode looks like this. And if you've chosen the English USA as your language, when you first set up your Thermomix, the modes might be different from what you normally see us advisors showcasing. It should be dough, universal, fat or caramel, or browning. But I can't remember what it was. I know one of my advisors actually logged into English but USA. So the modes were differently named, but it functions the same. All right. So I'm going to talk about the ones that we're normally using, and that is when you choose your English of your language preference as just English. We have dough, universal, fat or caramel, as well as browning. So there are 4 modes to choose from, and it really depends on what is the substance that you want to be cleaning, right? So normally for dough is dough, as per its word, dough. Universal, I usually use it for benda-benda yang berminyak, universal stuff. Even my lemonade, actually not even my lemonade, I just pour it out because it sort of cleans with my lemons. For instance, your teh tarik, anything that's oily and stuff like that, I would go for universal. Fat or caramel is like when I'm making my lollipops or my caramel, then I would go with the caramel mode, fat or caramel. And finally, we've got browning. So when there's a bit of browning that's happening at the base of your mixing bowl, then you would choose the browning. And you can see that each of these 4 modes have different temperatures: 37, 55, 75, and Varoma. So for the first 3 modes, dough, universal, fat or caramel, put in 1 liter of water and just 1 tablespoon of vinegar or 1 drop of dishwasher liquid to clean your Thermomix bowl, to do it a pre-clean, okay, before you start cooking on the mixing bowl for the other dish that you're making. Now, when you're using, however, the browning mode to clean your bowl, just be mindful that less dishwashing powder or liquid is required, because later on what happens is takut dia berbuih banyak, a lot of foam, and then you don't want it to be overflowing like that. So just be mindful that it's just a very tiny bit is required to clean your bowl using the browning mode. Now, just a kind reminder, never ever put any of your accessories like your your simmering basket, as well as your butterfly whisk. Kenapa? Because when you're using the automated pre-clean mode, the speed can go beyond speed 4. And the maximum the speed goes for both the simmering basket as well as your butterfly whisk is definitely just speed 4 below. Okay, so you don't want to rosakkan your simmering basket. You don't want to make it, hancurkan the simmering basket as well as your butterfly whisk. All right. Place the measuring cup on the cover lid. So make sure you do that with your measuring cup. Cover it with the lid, because later on nanti air dia keluar kan, melimpah-limpah dengan dia punya sabun semua. And do not insert the butterfly whisk, as the speed could go up to speed 5. And please empty cooked food from the bowl without any delay to avoid food residue accumulating and to cause brownie stain on your mixing bowl. Because sometimes, especially when you're making a lot of teh tarik and curries or turmeric, a lot of kunyit-based ingredients, you want to minimize the stains on that. Now, I will be having another session on care maintenance, but just a quick shout out that if you have turmeric stains on the lid of your mixing bowl, you can just jemur it after washing it. Okay, you can just jemur dekat your sun out there, not direct sunlight, and inshallah in a few hours it will disappear. It might take some longer time for really heavy stained turmeric, because I'm always making my turmeric paste one go. So it really makes it really yellow, but it does go off eventually over time. Just keep repeating the process, all right? And I normally use vinegar as well as baking soda to help me make it shiny, as well as the leftover lemons that I make with my lemonade. I'm so sorry, I've still got a sore throat, so just bear with me with my earlier kanchongness and my sore throat rock star like that, okay? Now, this is another mode that we have, the kettle mode. The maximum is 2.2 liters. As you all know, that is the maximum capacity of our mixing bowl. There's actually an indicator over there, 500, 1 liter, 1.52, and then 2.2 liter. And then you can set your desired temperature all the way from 37 to 100 degrees Celsius. 98 is not available. Very strange that they've come up with that. Like, I can do everything else. Because I did 40, if I'm not mistaken, once. I needed to use that perfect temperature to prepare some fish stuff for my husband, for his fish tank. But yes, 98 degrees is not available for the kettle mode. And no time setting is needed. It basically stops or will sound the alert when it has reached the temperature based on the quantity of the water inside and the initial temperature of your water. All right. Now, only plain water is allowed for this mode, and it's not for warming up any beverages or other liquids. So if you want to warm up your red bean soup, for instance, or dessert, then you would use the warm up mode, which I will touch on later. Okay. The reason for this is because when the engineers programmed this particular kettle mode, it was based on water, liquid. So it's a bit heavier with the ingredients if you are using the kettle mode to warm up your desserts, for instance, your liquidy desserts. So do use the warm-up mode instead, all right? Because water obviously has a different weight compared to liquids that has ingredients on it, and if it's thicker in texture. Avoid using this mode to warm up sauces, soups, or dishes. It gives you another important note there. Now, this is the blend mode. This is to use use when you're blending your hot food, maximum about 800 grams only. All right, so be mindful of that. Blending duration is between 10 seconds all the way to 5 minutes. And it's easier to access between speed 6 and speed 8 than manual control. Because let's say if you've done a cooking demo with us and you've seen us making the pumpkin soup, you will see us, once the pumpkin is masak already, now we want to make it into a nice puree or a soup, right? A thick soup. So we will gradually bring the speed from 1 to 6 to 8 very gradually, and there's a reason for that. It's to protect the mixing bowl. So using this blend mode, you don't, sometimes when we do it gradually, sometimes kita impatient, kita terus masuk speed 6, speed 8. And what happens is that because the food is hot and you don't want to be blending hot food, right? You want to protect your knife as much as you can, take care of it. The system won't be able to register it fast enough when you go all the way to speed 6 and 8. Okay. And what happens then is your mixing knife gets, rosa over time when you do this method. So I would use the blending mode or the blend mode because it is able to program it to gradually go consistently to the speed 6 to 8 when you want to blend your ingredients. All right. And this is a pre-programmed speed control, and it, again, protects the mixing knife, and it will be able to make your mixing knife last longer. So make sure no hard ingredients is in the mixing bowl when blend mode is in use, not SUA is in use. And remember to put on the measuring cup to cover the lid to ensure that the ingredients don't go splurting out. This is the slow cook mode. It goes all the way to 8 hours. You can cook your, we just had a discussion over our Diva customer group where someone was saying she used her slow cook mode. I think it was my team manager. And she masak soup tulang with a bit of kambing there, right? The temperature is set between 37 degrees all the way to 98 degrees Celsius. So it's not boiling point. That's why it doesn't go all the way to 100 degrees Celsius. And the temperature is below boiling point, which makes your ingredients inside, whatever you're slow cooking, juicy and tender, and it won't lose its liquid because it's just getting heated up or cooking, but it won't dry up, all right? And then there's the auto stir at the slower speed going on reverse mode, and it stops stirring within a 1 minute interval until the desired temperature has been reached. All right. So to care for this, when you are going on slow cook mode to achieve the best results, cook maximum of about 800 grams of meat with sauce and ingredients all together. Don't go beyond that. And pour out the cooked food without much delay and clean the mixing knife immediately to avoid oxidation, because we always encourage our customers to never ever soak your mixing knife overnight, because what happens is it becomes tarnished, it becomes black, because it's oxidated, and although it still functions well, dia cuma tak cantik lah, dia macam hitam-hitam macam tu. So sometimes when you notice there's a bit of black, tarnishing on your mixing knife, it could be because it has been left wet or soaked for a long period of time, or when you're using modes like the slow cook or the sous vide mode, you didn't put any ingredients like lemon or ascorbic acid to prevent oxidation from happening. So this is the sous vide mode. It is a cooking technique to deliver restaurant quality results. So your meats or even your vegetables that you may want to sous vide, some even sous vide fruits, will remain juicy, soft, but tender. All right. The precise temperature control is 1 degree Celsius accuracy from 40 degrees all the way to 85, depending on if, let's say, you are sous viding your steaks and you want it to be rare, all the way to medium well done. Is there such a thing as medium well done? So it depends on the, there is an actual table that I can share with you if you're interested. So hit me up if you would like to know more about the different sous vide cooking methods for your steaks and stuff, and what is the temperature and what is the timing to get that perfect texture of either rare or medium rare, etc. All right. So put marinated ingredients in a vacuum bag, and then you cook it in a water bath all the way to about 12 hours, depending again on the texture that you're looking for, with the aid of the blade cover. So this is the new blade cover. It looks like this because it's recently been introduced early this year, actually last year in other companies, in Europe companies, but it also functions as a peeler mode, okay? For the peeler mode, it peels your root vegetables like your potatoes, your carrots, your beetroots very, very well. And I'm going to go into this, I'll touch into this just a bit. So then after that, you can insert the vacuum bag into the mixing bowl when the water has reached the desired temperature. So just follow the steps, all right? And in fact, when you get your Thermomix, it allows you to try out a salmon sous vide. And for that, you don't need the blade cover peeler. This is the only accessory that does not come with your Thermomix, okay? For starters, this particular blade cover peeler is new. So it's being sold right now for 200 ringgit. But if you are using your Thermomix for the first time, one of the recipes that they suggest you to do is the salmon sous vide. And you can actually just use your simmering basket for that because it's a small in capacity, right? Empty the bowl after the food is cooked without much delay and clean the mixing bowl immediately to avoid any oxidation. I'm just going to check on Fat's WhatsApp because I can't see any. All right, everything is all right. Just to check if there's any comments or whatever, if there's any problems with my video and stuff. But Fat says everything is A-okay. All right, now the blade cover, if you want to find out more information, you can actually go to your cookie dough. And I'm just going to leave the screens on for a while so that you can take a screenshot or go to scan the QR code and you can get the information over there. Again, I'll touch more on cookie dough next week on the 27th of July at 5 p.m. All right. We've actually got a advisor training at 3 p.m. with HQ, but it's not open to non-advisors. But I will talk more about that. But just very quickly, if you're interested to know more about the blade cover functions, you can just scan this QR code. It will lead you to an article in your Cookido account, and then you can read and find out a little bit more there. Now, if you notice, again, I'll talk more about this next week. If you go into a Cookido and there's certain articles that you eventually stumble upon, okay, stumble upon, right? Here for Malaysia, Brunei, and Singapore, the Cookido account will be cookido.international, but there are other Cookido websites in different regions. So for our region, it'll be cookido.international. Sometimes those recipes, when you are going through these articles, will lead you to another Cookido platform. And when you want to access the recipe to save it, okay, in your Cookido account or your collections, you'll notice, kenapa tak boleh access ni? So that's the reason why, because it's coming from a different Cookido region. So just remember the name of that particular recipe, for instance, and then search it over the cookido.international, inshallah, it will be there, okay? So we have about 83,000 Cookido recipes that will be able to guide you using your Thermomix, especially if you're a noob like yours truly, all right? Next, we have the fermentation mode. 37 degrees all the way to 70 degrees Celsius. These are some of the information that I want to share with you. Different fermentation modes with different temperatures to make different sorts of ingredients, all the way from thosai to proving your dough safely, all right, using your varoma dish, making your yogurts. You can put that inside the mixing bowl and then later on you can pour it out and do whatever the next step is. All these can be found actually in your Cookido, as well as recipe sharing that we have a very, very abundance amongst our Thermi users over there. So to care for your Thermomix TM6, place liquid food in the mixing bowl or solid food in the Varoma dish with heating water in the bowl, okay, for fermentation. The mixing knife may stop rotating after about 20 minutes of gentle stir. So of course, it will auto stir for you when you are on the fermentation mode. I've used this when I was allowing the tempeh to ferment for about two days. And I just kept on resetting and making sure that the water inside my mixing bowl was enough. And I made sure that also that I had my lemon juice, or in this case, I've started to purchase the ascorbic acid that I bought from Elements. All right. And you just need about a teaspoon inside your liquid, your water, to prevent your knife from oxidating. Okay. Rice cooker mode. All right. This is best at preparing savory food like your biryani rice, your one pot chicken mushroom rice, butter rice, tomato rice, maximum capacity of about 500 grams of rice. And you will notice that the different rice to water or liquid will vary depending on what rice you use. So for jasmine rice, you will notice that you will only need just a little bit of liquid because jasmine rice is softer. It has more starch. All right. For basmati, it's almost 1-to-1. That means you double 1-to-2, sorry. So 200 grams of rice, you would double it for the liquid, 400 grams. And likewise for 500 to 1,000. So when it's brown rice, which is slightly more hardier, then you will increase a little bit of the liquids there. So this is just a guide. And usually we share this in our Diva Aroma's Telegram group. In case you get a little bit confused, we've got a whole PDF there. And we would love to reshare it with you. If you don't know how to find it, then just ask your advisor. Okay. Now, here's a little tip. Boil the water or the liquid, because sometimes you are cooking your, maybe your nasi lemak and stuff, kan? You want to boil it to 100 degrees Celsius before adding in the pre-weighed and cleaned rice into your mixing bowl. All right. And then once it's done, once the sound goes or whatever setting that you've chosen for your sound, once it's done, just let the rice rest. You can just hit on the dial selector to stop the noise, the sound, all right, of your unit alerting you. And then you just let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes before serving. This allows the rice to sort of set. And then you can just telangkupkan dia, the whole mixing bowl, turn it upside down and just release all the ingredients, the rice, by unscrewing from up above. Okay, so that's all taught to you guys during the unboxing session. Now, the thicken mode, it has 2 temperature settings available, either 80 degrees or 100 degrees. The difference to using both these modes is when it's 80 degrees, it's more for egg thickened recipes. Okay, because there's 2 ways to thicken your sauce or your ingredients. One is using egg and one is using the starch. All right. So when you go for starchy recipes, then you would go on 100 degrees Celsius for your thickening mode temperature. And then you can use the butterfly whisk to help stirring hot emulsified sauces. And this is automatically programmed to go at speed 4 clockwise. Now, place only liquids or sauces without any solid food to the mixing bowl as the mixing knife is rotating clockwise at speed 4. I've done this mistake, all right, where I wanted to thicken my stew. And because my daughter added a little bit more water than usual, so I thought, oh, I'll thicken it, you know. What happened was my chunky beef hancur semua. So it became like a pureed beef, which still tasted beautiful. It's just that it was like mush. My son loved it. The baby loved it because it was easy to consume. Even my Isidore loved it. But we're so used to eating, you know, the beefy chunks, right? With the carrots and the potatoes and stuff like that. So if you want to thicken it, I would go to 2 to 3 minutes, Varoma temperature on or reverse spoon, just so that it will thicken the sauce. Okay, so that's another way how you can thicken your sauce without menghancurkan your ingredients. Some people have actually removed. So let's say you're thickening something that has chicken legs or, you know, chicken thighs. You can actually remove the ayam first, okay, set it aside, and then you can use the thicken mode. And then after that, once it's done, then you can plonk it in. And some have also used the butterfly whisk, all right, because remember max that it goes here is about speed 4 and on clockwise. So you can also use your butterfly whisk, which is great for enabling, to look after your more delicate ingredients if you are using the thickening mode with ingredients inside. Right, this is the egg boiler mode. Select 1 out of 5 cooking points depending on the type of egg textures that you are wanting, all the way from soft to hard. Now, a maximum of 6 eggs. All right, that's about medium size. If you go to the market and you see like small, medium, and large, that will be the indication over there. Maximum 6 eggs, although I know someone who actually put 20. But because this is now on live, let's go with what has Thermomix encouraged, which is maximum of 6 eggs. Maybe her telur was kecil one, yang kecil-kecil. Maybe it was quail eggs. Anyway, place the eggs directly into the mixing bowl and cover the eggs with water. You don't need a simmering basket for this. And it's recommended to use the eggs taken from the fridge. All right? Especially when you are looking at medium soft, the typical kopitiam eggs. Then, because like me, I leave my eggs outside. I've got it in a little basket, right? And my husband loves his kopitiam egg, so he likes it a little bit more runny. So I thought, okay, according to when we first got this mode in, this egg boiler mode in, we said, okay, it looks about there. Because I like my eggs hard, so I'm not familiar with the runniness of an egg. So I looked at the picture and I'm like, okay, this looks about right. All right, but because my eggs aren't from the fridge, it actually became a little bit more keras. Still runny, but not as runny as my kopitiam ones. Okay, so this is where it is. I'm just going to flip it over and look for the egg. And if you get confused, right, here I can actually choose to not show this message again. Okay, so let's say I go back to this. And now I'm not sure. Soft, medium, upper. You can always press on the I as the information to go back to all the information about what is what. Okay, so that happens for most of the modes. You can always press on the information, the I icon there, to get more information in case you are confused. The same for the pre-clean mode. If you want a reminder, Daphne said that day, 1 liter ke 500 grams. So you can always tekan on the I to double check. Okay. Pour cooked eggs into a simmering basket and run cold water over the eggs because you don't want it to continue overcooking because it's still panas kan dalam dia, especially if you are looking for runnier eggs or soft eggs, then at least it stops the cooking process immediately. This is the warm-up mode. It is able to heat up your food uniformly without overboiling. So you can select the temperature between 37 degrees as well as 90 degrees. And this is great for reheating soup with food pieces without breaking them. All right, so you do choose the speed spoon. And this is to warm up liquid or creamy food only. Select the higher speed, which is about 1, maximum about 2, to warm up food with thicker texture. And again, if you have some ingredients inside, then you can actually put in the butterfly whisk to protect your delicate ingredients even better. Okay, this serves as your pengacau 5 dan 6. All right, not recommended to warm up solid foods like pasta or rice. So don't do that, okay? Because you don't want your nasi or your pasta to pecah or to break. This is the peeler mode, which was recently introduced, and it must be used with this accessory, which is the new blade cover and peeler. Not more than 800 grams of root vegetables at one time. So the icon looks like that. It looks like a peeler. Always add about 600 grams of water, and the time settings between 30 seconds, depending on what you are peeling, all the way to 5 minutes. I suggest going on the conservative side. So if you're not sure, there is also a guideline for you on different sorts of root vegetables that you can peel using your blade cover peeler. But I always go, let's say if the potatoes is about 6 minutes or 5 minutes, I go on the conservative of 4, look at it, check it out first. And then I will continue a little bit more if I feel that I tak puas hati lah. For best results, use even sized vegetables that fit through the lid opening. Okay, so kalau dia lagi besar, general knowledge, a general usage, if your ingredients are bigger than the lid, then just cut it smaller so that it's able to go into your lids, because again, you're protecting your knife, all right? Even though your knife is very powerful, the motor is very powerful, very sharp and everything, you want to protect it to last as long as it can, okay? And larger vegetables may need to be cut in pieces. Collect the peelings and rinsing water and reuse to water your plants so there's no wastage there. Also, a little tip, I noticed that when you are peeling your potatoes, okay, you want to remove any eyes. So kalau ada yang biji-biji tu macam like the black thing yang dalam tu, those are called the eyes. I would just cut around that, or later on once it's peeled, then I will remove it, because it's, and you don't have to wash your vegetables, yeah, when you are using the peeler mode, because it automatically cleans at the same time. So you can just dump it in. Make sure that it's sort of unified, because in sizing, because you are using the same mode. So don't put katakan potatoes and then you go and put your lengkuas at the same time, because the sizings may be different and it requires different speeds, timing for it to peel. All right. And for potatoes, it can get a little bit foamy. So some people actually add a dollop of oil to prevent the foaming, but I have no issue on the foam and I just let it be. I don't even put any oil inside. Dalam cooking oil now very mahal kan. All right, and then we have the high temperature and sugar stages mode. High temperature is about 120 degrees to 160 degrees. You can't see it. It's auto set. These two temperatures or these two modes can only be accessed when you are using the guided cooking recipes. All right. This has a reason for that. So again, it can only be accessed using your guided cooking recipes. So even if you do decide not to subscribe to the Cookie Do, because your Cookie Do will have these collections saved inside your Cookie Do collection, right? It now has been upgraded so that you will still have access to the high temperature Asian cooking, as well as the Asian sweet treats with sugar stages, even if you're no longer a Cookie Do subscriber, okay? Because you have that option. After your 6 months is over, then you can decide whether you want to renew your subscription as a full user for 59 USD or to do without it whatsoever, and that's fine. You will still have access to not just your basic cookbook, but also the high temperature Asian cooking, as well as your Asian sweet treats. Now, speaking of which, since I'm touching on the modes here, sometimes we have customers who decide not to subscribe to the Cookie Do once their trial subscription is over, all right? And you do know that the Thermomix TM6 gets smarter each time. So when there is a software update over the air, it is updating any bugs. It's basically fixing any bugs or updating the software, all right? Some customer says, I tak ada lah peeler mode, kenapa? All right, I've already did my software update tapi tak keluar-keluar. Now, actually, our Thermomix has two ways of updating its software. One is through the software update over the air. Another way is when you have to log into your Cookie Do, because the features like your egg boiler, your peeler will only be updated onto your Thermomix unit when you are when you've already keyed in your Cookie Do login. You need to log into your Cookie Do account. That's why every Thermomix user must have a Cookie Do account. It has all your details there. And even if your Cookie Do has expired, meaning you've chosen the route of not wanting to renew your subscription, you can still have access to your Cookie Do login. Okay, cuma you tak boleh pakai lah yang save collection semua. And from here, it will be able to update the new features that comes from time to time. Okay, so remember again, if you think, kenapa I dah lama jadi Thermomix user, hari tu kata ada new peeler mode, tapi tak nampak-nampak, and then I will always get our advisor to check, has she logged into the Cookie Do? Dia kata, because Cookie Do I tak subscribe lagi, so tak nak lah masuk login. You need to log in and you can still use and update these new features despite the fact that you've decided not to subscribe to the Cookie Do. Walaupun dah expire, masih boleh log into those accounts. Okay? Well, that's the end of it. And now I'm going to check on all of you guys to see if there are any questions. Again, I apologize for the big boo-boo earlier on. Hi, may I know where I can get the PDF for all these modes? This is actually accessible to just advisors. Sharifa, are you an advisor? Or you can I can share. Which part were you unsure of, Sharifa? Maybe you can just message me, all right, at Daphne Iking Facebook, and I'll get in touch with you. Hi, Glenda. Okay, if that's it, then I shall see you guys next week on the 27th of... Oh, you're a US advisor. Normally, what happens is, Sharifa, your team manager, because in US, your setting might be a little bit different from the modes that we have. It should be universal across the board, but like for what I was talking about, the pre-clean mode, right? It might be different if you're using the English US, if that was a chosen feature that you use. So just PM me, Daphne Iking, just message me, and I'll get in touch with you about that shortly. Okay. All right. Yes. So just to let you know that for those of you who are still in the midst of thinking about purchasing the Thermomix, all right, I just want to let you all know that this ladies and gentlemen, I am ending this. I'll be seeing you on our next session on the 27th of July at 5 p.m. with Diva, Israel, and myself. With that, let me just check one more time on any comments. All right, then. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys found this useful. And I hope that you will also come in for our Cookie Do session on 27th of July at 5 p.m. Bye, everyone.